The bliss of the abyss, it's here now.
Welcome back to the Bliss of the Abyss. My name's Robin Neumark Jones. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. I hope you're doing well this fine afternoon. It's a beautiful sunny day in the UK. We haven't had a regular episode for a while. I've been banking some up. I've been travelling and I've been busy with work, so apologies for the slight lacuna in output. But before we get back to normally scheduled programming coming soon, I thought you might enjoy a little snippet from my appearance on the podcast On Brand. This is a fantastic show where each week Al Worth, and sometimes a guest, in this case me, goes through and dissects some of Russell Brand's output on his increasingly unhinged far-right lunatic network Rumble, where he spouts off about all kinds of absolute nonsense and bollocks and twaddle and all the rest of it. And Al was very gracious enough to have me on the show. If you'll recall, I actually had him on this podcast itself a few months back to discuss On Brand and all of his work and the podcast. And he very kindly returned the favour. I was on his show, and this is my second appearance on the On Brand podcast, and we discuss all of what Russell's been doing lately, as well as some stuff with Jordan Peterson and Trump and all kinds of stuff. So it's not the usual output that is on the Bliss of the Abyss, but I thought you might enjoy a little snippet of the show. And if you do enjoy what you hear, of course, head on over to the On Brand feed, subscribe to the podcast, become a member of the Patreon, go and give us some likes and subscribes on YouTube, and just really, show some support and some love for Al, because what they are doing with this podcast is fantastic. It's essential listening. It's a great show, and it's also just a hoot. And I think you'll really enjoy it. I've cut a little clip here for you to get a flavour of what the show is like. And if you like what you hear, and why wouldn't you, then, as I said, head on over to Al and show them the support and love that you true Bliss of the Abyss army have in your arsenal. And in the meantime, enjoy this clip from On Brand.
This is propaganda live. I only suggest how to think and how to vote. An extraordinary cultural moment, already iconic. We love you, you're welcome here. I almost sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's a bit late now. They don't want to have a conversation and debate because they're lying. And this is a matter now of fact and record. Trump is like Hitler. Let me count the ways. I'm a Nazi, actually. And I've kept it down till now, but this is my chance. God, it's propaganda. Did you guess it? I feel that Christ may have had a better vision. Bastards, aren't they? I mean, you can't watch too much of this without realising they're absolute bastards. Let's go full screen on Russell.
This is On Brand, a podcast where we discuss the ideas and antics of one Russell Brand. I'm Al Worth, and each week I go through an episode of Stay Free with Russell Brand in order to dissect and debunk it. And this week I'm excited to be joined once again by actor, comedian, podcaster, and man of many skills, Robert Neumark Jones. We will be looking at Russell's coverage of the news, Jordan Peterson getting his ass handed to him in a debate, the return of Tommy Robinson, and Trump's U-turn on Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of the heralding of the apocalypse. And the next step is Chinese kickboxing robots, and then from there, obviously, we have total world domination.
Yes, it's a straight line, is what it is. That's exactly the entire Chinese army is about to be replaced by those kickboxing robots, and I tell you, we are in trouble. We only have a couple of dogs to fight them, so we need to get more robotic, very expensive robotic dogs. God damn it. Oh, God. Okay, so from here we get to what has been one of the more enjoyable stories from the last week for me, but I think it was markedly less enjoyable for Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson participated in a debate with 20 atheists. Let's have a look at how JP got along.
Do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
Jordan Peterson's not cut out for that because his
he's
kind
not.
of analysis is nuanced. Even though the legacy media and the haters see Jordan Peterson as some kind of bombastic man hammer, unable to comprehend or contend with the complexity of modern emergent dynamics around gender and sexuality. He's a Jungian. He's interested in deep sigils and signifiers, the nature of reality at depth, a kind of Jungian topography of archetypes. So if you say to him, do you believe in an all-loving God or whatever, he'll go, what do you mean believe? I don't know. What do you mean believe? Believe?
Yeah, now what actually happened there is trademark Jordan Peterson debate tactics, where whenever he's cornered by a question he doesn't want to answer, he tries to bog the conversation down in endless definitions of terms. And I'm sure if I said that to his face, he'd say, well, what do you mean by definition? And so on until the end of time, right? That's just... he's just stalling for time the entire way through. I am curious, Rob, have you seen any of this little debate that Jordan Peterson
I
had
actually have. I did watch some of this. And I clicked into it because I saw that it was originally titled One Christian versus 20 Atheists. And apparently he was very upset about that and had it changed to Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists. And that piqued my curiosity, and I watched some of it. And it's so infuriating. It's sophistry, and also weirdly he seems very riled and kind of mean. He's like this mean, riled old man.
Oh yeah, he's already agitated.
He's agitated. He's not on the Xanax anymore. I'll tell you that. And he's just
missing those benzos, man.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it wasn't too bad. And he singularly fails to pin his colours to a single mast. I think at one point he says that what belief is, or what is, I'm going to get it wrong, something about prayer, worship, and belief are all the same thing or something, and that is what most people think that those definitions are. And again, we're on to definitions because that's all we talk about. And it's just, if anyone's got a spare 20 minutes, it's worth about that much, but it's 2 hours long. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, normally I do find these types of things absolutely infuriating to watch because they are usually dealing with people on entirely separate planes of reality. Like Sam Cedar's recent one was a good example of that, as well as like COVID denialists trying to argue with an actual medical doctor. And at the end of it, everyone's made a mess and no one's really the wiser. Except in this case, I will say it basically turns into Jordan Peterson getting bitch slapped for a couple of hours, which is its own special kind of satisfaction when it occurs. Now, obviously, like, we're in such separate realities that the two opposing sides can have looked at the same conversation and both consider themselves the victor. So I was pretty curious what the alt-right would be considering, the winning moment for Jordan Peterson out of this particular debate, because I didn't see many wins for him. And I should preface this clip by saying that, as you said, the original title of the clip was One Christian versus 20 Atheists, which is the premise that the atheists were invited to engage with, but throughout Jordan Peterson refused to define himself as a Christian, which caused a few problems, and so they had to change it. And so let's watch one person trying to press Jordy Peets on this issue before roundly kicking his ass, and then we get Russell's reaction.
It to be true.
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
how would you define belief? Something you say?
Well, so I explain, like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your life?
Don't be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to like save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone?
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're like in like Nazi Germany, and it is the case that there's like Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them, would you lie to like the Nazis?
I would have done everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with. It's a hypothetical, and it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today? Did you eat
Don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just asking
Yes,
if you
you
ate
are.
it.
I just told you
Hypothetical.
I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about. Like there could be a Jewish friend that you have and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
But like, okay, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in
Obviously,
a
that's
manner
not
you...
what
I don't like watching that very much.
Yeah, because he lost and he's your mate.
Yeah, I can see why. Yeah, it's not fun to watch your good friend have his ass handed to him. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Jordan Peterson was just like outing himself as a Nazi. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. It was like, yeah, anyone who lived in Nazi Germany and was protecting Jews was steeped in sin. Like, either way, I'm now officially not so sure that Jordan Peterson would be willing to lie to protect anyone he cares about from their immediate murder. So that's fun. That's
Certainly
new.
not. He's made that clear. He's made that clear. It's stunning. I wouldn't put myself in that situation. Yeah, okay, but let's say you were in that situation. I wouldn't put myself in that.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
let's
I
say you were.
would make sure to never get there. I would either have fled or I would be a member of the Nazi party, probably highly ranking. Is what would happen. You're like, yeah, well, one of those things is believable. Oh, like just the bit about, I would lie about this pen, and you'd probably do the same. Don't be so sure.
Yeah.
I
What do you
wouldn't
know
lie.
about me? What do you know about me? I would never lie about a pen.
Oh God, yeah, it is 2 hours of that. It's 2 hours of just that timbre of conversation. Like, oh my God, you're so hostile, so unnecessarily hostile throughout the whole thing.
You can tell he lost as well because he didn't start crying when Jordan Peterson thinks he's winning. He sheds some tears, and there were
Yes.
no tears. He just got fluffed.
Yeah, no, he just got very red in the face throughout the whole thing. Okay, so now we're going to play a game, Rob. So Russell is going to give a somewhat accurate assessment of Jordan Peterson in this debate. Probably coming at it from a different direction to me, but still. Before pivoting away to another subject. Specifically, he's pivoting towards discussing another human being. And I want you to do your best to guess from this brief clip who Russell might be talking about, okay? So let's have a look.
What I feel like is senseless, endless sophistry and linguistic clattering. Like, where are we going with all of this stuff? Because there are people that are not so nuanced in their conversation as Jordan Peterson, that are able to access and direct, perhaps by circumstance, perhaps by divine, perhaps by anointment, very, very powerful forces.
Okay, so it's someone who's not as nuanced as Jordan Peterson, but can access and direct, perhaps by circumstance, perhaps by divine, perhaps by anointment, very, very powerful forces. Any ideas who you think it might be?
Well, it's either my neighbor Steve or Donald Trump.
Okay, both good guesses. And it is Steve! Yes! Steve! No, I'm happy you get to experience this the way I did, because I was listening to this sentence being like, who the fuck is he talking about? And it did not go the way I expected.
Perhaps by anointment, very, very powerful forces. Tommy Robinson has been released from prison. I've not watched this yet. He was there
Divine.
under a contempt of court charge, likely, and well, in fact, because of his documentaries about rape gangs and grooming gangs in the UK. He's been released. He's being charged with more crimes now. But I happen to know that, obviously, as you surely do too, that the UK is in a state of decline and corruption and in a kind of moral chokehold at the moment as a result of globalist centralism and a kind of capitulation to imperialistic ideals that we must surely oppose. And if anyone's going to oppose that with priapic, monosyllabic potency, it's Tommy Robinson.
Ugh.
I love that he's basically calling Tommy Robinson an idiot there, like priapic monosyllabic potency. Like, yeah, he's an enthusiastic moron, you know, like monosyllabic. He can only speak in single syllables.
Sigils and symbols.
Yes.
Priapism is when you've got an erection that you can't get rid of, right?
Yes. So yeah. So it's
that's what he's calling Tommy Robinson.
Yes.
A big throbbing. a strong English cock. Hey!
A big throbbing monosyllabic cock. That's Tommy Robinson.
But appointed by God, it's a heavenly cock.
Right, yes, yeah, exactly. So it turns out Tommy Robinson is the person who is not as nuanced as Jordan Peterson, which, yeah. Who can access and direct, perhaps by divine or perhaps by anointment, very, very powerful forces. That divine Tommy Robinson, as he's otherwise known.
Look past the petty criminality, look past the race baiting, and you'll find a holy man.
Look past the sheer number of times that man has been in prison. I've mentioned before that Tommy Robinson got his contempt of court charge for repeatedly lying about a young Syrian boy despite being under a court injunction not to do so. But what's most fun for me about this is that supposedly Tommy Robinson, Britain First Tommy Robinson, English Defence League Tommy Robinson, according to Russell, well, that guy is going to be opposing imperialistic ideals, apparently. Like, yeah. The famous opponent of imperialism, Tommy Robinson.
I genuinely, I thought Donald Trump because he said power, and also because the Christians think they can sort of use him as a blunt instrument. I had no way of guessing that he was going to go to Stephen Yaxley Lennon. That was a true
to Tommy 10
shock.
names. Yeah,
Tommy 10 names.
So what is happening? So words just have no meaning. So let's get to Russell watching the actual clip of Tommy Robinson as he's come out of prison.
Let's have a look.
Our weapon is free speech. They can't allow it because if everyone can exercise.
I didn't expect that. Tommy Robinson's not been having a haircut while he's been doing his porridge. Let's have a look. Let's get back into it.
Allow it because if everyone can exercise their free speech, if we have platforms for free speech, we can highlight their abuses. We can highlight their.
He's turned to the Lord. Jesus Christ's hands on Tommy.
We can highlight their corruption. On the 13th of September, we started organising United Kingdom rallies. I think the last one had over 100,000 people. We want to hold a free speech festival in London as a show of defiance. And at this free speech festival, it's going to be United Kingdom /MAGA/Mega. United Kingdom, because people, and I'm sorry in Scotland, I'm sorry Wales, I'm sorry Northern Ireland, it's going to be in our capital city again.
You keep it, mate. You keep
people coming from every corner of the globe. People, speakers from Australia, from Canada, from America, from Denmark, from Germany, from Holland, from Poland. We're not just uniting the kingdom, we're uniting the world. And London is going to be the centre for it.
The world?
It's going to be a festival of free speech.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. Turf Dog in the chat, sweet ass werewolf look. It does look like Tommy Robinson has come out of jail as Michael J. Fox's Teen Wolf. And I think this new Tommy Robinson era could be fascinating.
I mean, fascist rallies are fascinating in their own way, but I will say I find the ones that are happening while I'm alive much less fascinating and much more distressing because they're happening now. Also, yeah, Tommy Robinson just said he was going to unite the world. I'm like, would that make you a globalist? I'm just asking questions here, but you know, I did want to ask. Like, so I'm Welsh, so I have kind of less of an opinion. But how do you feel about "Make England Great Again"? You know, it's mega, mate. It's fucking mega.
It must. I mean, how many people do you reckon are actually part of that movement? It must be like 10 people on the internet.
Yeah, a couple of hundred maybe. Yeah, and a lot of bots. You know.
I like his list of uniting the world because he said, sorry Northern Ireland, sorry Scotland, sorry Wales. So they're not in. And then he listed some European countries like Denmark, Poland. I know some of them, but nowhere near all of them. So we're uniting this very strange blend of some European countries and North America, but only the US, I think.
Yes,
and that's the world.
It's based on which fascists he can book to come and speak. So I'm like, all right, so you know, fucking AFD are probably going to be there. You know, we're going to have all these shitheads. Right. But yeah, that'll be on your front door. So you know, stay indoors that day, Rob. Would be
Free
my
Speech
advice.
Festival. I might go.
Fucking hell.
I might go. Do you think they've got freebies? Do you think I can wear merch?
I mean, unlikely is what I'm gonna say. You know, they might get you a free England flag, maybe, or you know, free tin of Stella Artois, Carling, something like that. You know, yeah. In any case, yeah, famous anti-imperialist Tommy Robinson is having a festival of free speech in London, which I do find fun because London is probably the most ethnically diverse place in the United Kingdom. Yeah. You know, it's like how being a white supremacist in the US must be really tough because there are so many black and brown people there. It's a very culturally diverse as a country. So, like, the white supremacists must just be vibrating with rage constantly. It's a terrible place to choose to be a racist, you know? Like,
yeah.
And as for Tommy Robinson's previous Unite the Kingdom rallies, there's no way he's ever come anywhere near 100,000 people showing up for him.
Great.
The best estimate from the one in London last year was thousands, and didn't even veer into 10,000, let alone 100,000. In fact, I'm quite sure if you added up every rally that Tommy Robinson has ever held, it wouldn't come to 100,000 people. And certainly not 100,000 different people. You might have the same attendees each time, you know.
I think so. Selection bias, for sure. You know, have a fry up, knock down a couple of cans, go and tag something up, maybe beat up some of the youth that don't look like you.
Yeah.
Job's a good one.
Shout about Muslims, and there we go, job done. And yeah, not to forget, his new teen werewolf look, as described, is entirely for the cameras. The guy's been in solitary confinement for a good chunk of his time in prison because he's a shithead and would likely get beaten up. But you are still allowed a barber in the UK, even in solitary. So he clearly just opted out so he could pull out his best Tom Hanks in Castaway look when he got out. You know, like, look how tough I've had it. Like, nah, mate, you've just been lazy, is what you've been. And also, yeah, fun thing there. Russell did mention that that Tommy Robinson has been charged again. Like, he's only just gotten out of prison and he's got to appear in court on the 5th of June, so in a couple of days, because he's been charged with harassment causing fear of violence against two men in August last year, two journalists, I think. Which I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. So he may be back in prison pretty soon. I'm like, that's par for the course.
It's his natural habitat. It's okay.
Yeah, I imagine he's getting pretty comfy there by now. You know, spending a lot of time with his own thoughts. It's clearly doing him well. So now we get to a slightly stickier subject for Russell and the alt-right, which is Trump's apparent U-turn on Vladimir Putin, with Trump saying that Putin's gone crazy. Yeah.
Let's have a look at Trump now, making the extraordinary declaration that Putin has gone crazy. Many people think that Putin's been crazy from the get-go. How is this going to lead to a peace deal? And is US withdrawal, I mean, I suppose ultimately if you're an American taxpayer, you want out of this war, right?
After a weekend of massive and deadly Russian strikes on Ukraine, President Trump overnight lashing out at Vladimir Putin.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Adding in a Truth Social post, Putin has gone absolutely crazy. It's a major shift from last week when the leaders held a 2-hour phone call. Trump calling it an excellent discussion, claiming peace negotiations would begin.
Do you, like me, vacillate between thinking there's a rawness to Trump that's incredibly refreshing and wondering if he's a tactical genius? Which one is it? Is this an incredibly nuanced and mathematical approach to politics, or is it a kind of very raw and primal expression of every thought and feeling?
It's that one. I'll take that one, please.
Moved so quickly. It was like a matter of moments, or at least weeks ago, that, there's a 2-hour conversation and it seems like a solution is in the offering. And now these very open and raw declarations that you can't deal with Putin. I suppose having just endured 4 years of Biden, in which we were plainly lied to about his capacity and ability to manage the levers of power, even seeing someone being explosive and contradictory is somewhat refreshing. You agree with that? I suppose it's difficult not to feel concerned about the radical vicissitudes from Putin's a good guy, we've got this thing under control, to he's crazy. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary, isn't it?
It is pretty extraordinary. And I'm sort of veering between idle curiosity as to like what's changed. Like perhaps Putin has finally run out of patience with the orange idiot he's been propping up all these years. I'm like, that's a possibility. But then again, there's every chance that it's all just political theater and won't make one iota of difference, right? Who the fuck knows with these people? Nonetheless, like, hey, even if Trump has done a complete U-turn overnight about Vladimir Putin, at least Trump is explosive and contradictory in a refreshing way, unlike Joe Biden. Who was consistent.
The last thing we need is consistency. Like,
no, we don't need that.
We don't want to know what's coming. We need utter chaos.
We need someone who will yell, who is impulsive, who is in control of all of the military, and will make some pretty brash fucking decisions. That's who we need. We need to not know what's coming at any moment. That is what we want in a leader, because it's refreshing, Rob. It's refreshing. I do also love the alt-right's constant ability to swerve and make excuses for their guys acting like totally obvious morons. Like, God, is he just a raw idiot yelling things into a microphone, or is he actually playing some kind of 5D chess with mathematical precision that you and I couldn't possibly comprehend? It looks stupid, but actually it's genius. Like, it's the same shit they pull with Elon Musk constantly, and like, nah, just these people are idiots. They're incredibly wealthy idiots, but they are idiots. Like, you know?
I do like the fact that they, even in their hypothesizing, they have to consider what is obviously the true answer. Is it the truth? Or, hold on, I've got a better one coming. Ready for the crackpot theory?
I've got a much more preferable alternative that fits my narrative. So, is he a moron or fucking tactical genius with nuance, that famously nuanced Donald Trump? Yes, that's the one. It's got to be that one. Oh, dear. So obviously, this is a tricky one for Russell to have to navigate here, but it's all right because he manages to stretch it just far enough so that it's actually all someone else's fault.
What an extraordinary and complex mess we find ourselves in now.